you can keep up with what I'm going to do. And also, I'll have some videos to show you in the video. We're going to do this in a minute. We're going to learn this together. Okay? We're just going to do this together. We're just going to discuss this together. We're just going to think about this together. Okay? Is it okay? Yeah? Awesome. So let's begin. Let's read the famous missional verse in the Bible, the Great Commission, Matthew 28, verses 18. Matthew 28, verses 18. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you, and surely I am with you always, even to the very end of the age. Very popular verse, it's a central missional verse in the New Testament. This is very much part of our Christian life. But the problem is, most Christians today, and in the past decades, have practically chosen to just make this an optional thing. To do this as, if you've got time, or, we've just relegated it to something of an option. But, and we thought that, it's just the job of the parents, or not the parents, the pastors, the evangelists, they are the ones who's got to do this. But is there anywhere that we see here that Christ saying this, that it's the job of the pastors to go around the world? It's the job of the evangelists, or it's just a job of a select few? No. It's the job of the disciples, isn't it? You're all disciples of Christ, isn't it? You're followers of Christ. The word Christian means little Christs. And we are disciples of Christ. So that is clear. Sorry. And the second verse, 2 Timothy 2 verses 1. Now this is what is related to the theme that the subject that we're going to discuss today. It's a very important verse. It's a very hard-hitting verse as well to make us think. Paul talking to his spiritual son Timothy. 2 Timothy 2 verses 1. You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times, for people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious, but they will reject the power that could make them godly. Stay away from people like that. Very hard-hitting words, isn't it? And we can find a lot of relevant aspects in this world, in this verse, in this country, isn't it? We can see how this is playing out before our very eyes in this nation. Now, Dr. Vijay Sampath has been talking about what is mission, so I'm not going to go there. Okay, but I just want to give you a definition, just a definition, so that you have in mind throughout this discussion what a mission is. So the definition that I've got here is it's an important goal or purpose that is accompanied by strong conviction or calling to proclaim the gospel and help the needy. Okay? Now, I want you to listen to this very carefully, because in the definition that I gave you, I said to proclaim the gospel and help the needy. I want to keep that in mind, okay? Secondly, sending or being sent to proclaim the gospel and help the needy. Again, to proclaim the gospel and help the needy. The reason why I am emphasizing this is, often people, when they hear the word mission, they only think about preaching the gospel, especially among us Pentecostals. That is the only thing that comes to our mind when we hear the word mission. But biblically, that is not true. We are not just called to preach the gospel, we are also called to help people. We're also, we are called to do some charity work. How can we preach the gospel to someone who is hungry? We've got to feed him first before we can feed him, feed the spiritual food, isn't it? That's exactly what Jesus did. When Jesus, fed the 5,000, what happened? Jesus, he could have just preached there, and he could have, gave an altar call or something like that. But what did he do? He saw that the people was hungry. He felt compassion, and he gave them food. He did a miracle among them, and he provided them their need. And it was only after that Jesus started talking about spiritual food. So that is what mission is all about. The early apostles was like that. They just didn't preach the gospel. Do you know that during the Roman times they used to, abortion was very rampant. But abortion was not just inside the womb, it was outside the womb as well. So, because they didn't have that kind of advanced technology at that time, but still, there was ways. But they used to kill children, and there was this place where they used to dump them. They would just throw them like garbage into this place. And do you know what the early church did? The early church went to that dump and looked for babies who were alive and took them back to their homes and looked after them. Just imagine that. That they called mission as well. Okay, now there's another group, the Catholics. When you talk to them about mission, the first thing that comes to their mind is charity. The first thing that comes to their mind is Mother Teresa. Do you know what's the name of Mother Teresa's charity or mission? Missionaries. Someone said it. Say it loud. Missionaries of, got it right? Missionaries for charities and missionaries. Basically, but Mother Teresa didn't really preach the gospel, did she? She was more charitative. She expressed the love of Christ, but she was not very much into the gospel, which is the most important thing, isn't it? So mission is both. It is both proclaiming the gospel and helping the needy. And mission should be our heartbeat, and it should be the priority of every local church. It should not be, some churches have a department called mission department or something like that, or mission coordinator or something like that. No, that's just, some of this departmentalized mission. Mission should be the breathing, should be the life of our church. Without being, if a church is not missional, that church is dead. There's no use. The early church was missional. The greatest missional church was the Antioch church. And I want you to look, when you go home, just look into what that church was all about. One of the best churches in the old, in the early church, in the New Testament. And unfortunately, we have become a pastorally led, administratively focused, and Sunday-centric attractional church. That is what we've become, isn't it? We think Sunday is what church is all about, and that's not true. Church is not just about Sunday, it is much more. It should be mission. Okay, now I'm going to start, now this is where we're going to really look into what are the challenges, okay? I hope you've got that definition in your mind clear. Now there are 8 challenges to mission in the UK today. 8 challenges. 8, okay? And those are quite serious as well. So I'm going to mention them one by one. I want you to, if possible, write it down. Because when you go home, pray about these challenges. Because these are very serious challenges. These are challenges that you will face when you go to your universities, maybe most of you are facing these challenges already. When you go to the workplace, you will find it very clearly. Okay? So, there's 8. Number 1. The first challenge that is facing UK today is a thing called relativism. Anyone heard of relativism? Relativism. No one's heard of relativism? Relativism means, basically, there is no moral absolutes. Anti-authority. Only thing they are sure about is that they are not sure about anything. Relativists, the only thing that they are sure about is that they are not sure about anything. Basically, anything goes. What is true for you is true for you. What is true for me is true for me. Have you heard that? argument before? There's no objective morality. Everything is subject to what you think, subject to your circumstance. And what you believe is right, that is right. What I believe is right, that is right. There is nothing called objective morality. That does not exist. And many people believe that today, and that is a big challenge. Because of that, young people are, they are directionless. They simply, they're confused. What is truth? For them, truth is not clear. It is confusing. So this is a major challenge. Number 2, skepticism. Skepticism. I'm sure you've heard of skepticism. Yeah? It's a doubt, unbelief, being dubious, just can't, being a bit cynical, just doesn't believe anything whatsoever, skeptical about everything, does not even give a chance for God to work in their lives. Okay? So skepticism. Third, now this is one of the most difficult challenges in this country, atheism and agnosticism. Yeah? Atheism, there is no God. Agnosticism means that it cannot be known that there is a God, or God is unknowable. Okay? Many people are agnostics in this country. So many people. And of course, atheism is also on the rise. And there is a new type of atheism on the rise as well. Anyone know? What's it called? A new type of atheism. The clue is in the phrase I just mentioned. New atheism. New atheism. That's it. It's a new type of atheism called new atheism. And that's a bit, not a very pleasant atheism, especially for us Christians. I'll talk about that later. Okay, number 4, pluralism. Pluralism, a society of many gods with equal value. All religions are the same. All gods are the same. All religions take us to the right, to the same destination. All that kind of stuff. So Islam, Hinduism, Sikhism, all those religions, there's no difference, just different type of practices, that kind of stuff. Number 5, secularism. Very serious. Secularism, a denying of spiritual element in civil life and affairs, which means, there's a group called, the National Secular Society. And what they are trying to do is that they're trying to take the church out of public life. They don't want the church in public whatsoever. They don't want the church or Christians to have any say in the government or any say in any aspect of the laws in this country. That kind of thinking. That's called secularism. Number 6, humanism. Man is good. Self-centeredness is encouraged. Humanism. Man is God. There's no other God but man. I can do everything. There's nothing impossible if I just put my mind to it. That kind of humanism. Materialism, number 7. Only that tangible and seeable of any importance. That means what we can touch, what we can see, with our 5 senses, that is all that exists, and enjoy that. And make sure you have, you get the best out of it. That kind of thinking. So spiritualism has no, God has no place in it. Materialism, and unfortunately, Christians are materialists, isn't it? They go after God not because for God, not because they love God, but because they want to get something from God, namely materialistic blessings, isn't it? Money, car, house, and all that stuff. Number 8, hedonism. Hedonism. Life is to be lived simply for pleasurable experiences.